Record.
Welcome to our special gathering tonight. I am Marian Palmer. Tonight we are going to be celebrating and sharing what has happened in our lives because of redox signaling molecules. God's timing is so amazing. My husband and I love to backpack, and at 70 years old, I was slowing down. I'd huff and puff up the mountain, and what used to be fun was just hard, and I was ready to throw out my hiking boots. My good friends Jerry and Marcia White told me about ASEA, and I trusted them, and I started drinking it just to find out if it would make a difference. And at home, I was feeling stronger and vibrant again. And so my husband says, let's carry those ASEA pouches and see what happens on our next hike. Well, we were on one of the hardest hikes I'd ever been on. Most of it was above 8,000 feet up to 10,000 feet. And I did great. I was one of the leaders instead of being the last one to drag into camp. So once again, we are having fun backpacking. And it's been 10 years since then. We're still hiking. I still love to do fun runs and kayaking and gardening. Life is good, and I'm so grateful. I feel like I'm younger because I'm using ASEA. Well, because it made such a difference in my life, I told a few friends about how ASEA had helped Rand and myself. Gloria was one of these friends, and a beautiful group of friends has blossomed. Ruth, Rhoda, Doug, Beth, Darlene, so many people. It's just been an exciting journey to make a difference in our lives and other people's lives and their pets. This group has amazing pet stories as well. So for our guests, we welcome you, and please write down any questions that you have as you listen to what's being shared tonight. Know that these products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. What the redox signaling molecules do is to support the cells to communicate in order to detect, repair, or replace any cells they need in order for the body to heal itself. So again, I want to welcome you. Enjoy the evening. We're going to start with a special video of Danielle Matthews. She is one of my favorite ASEA friends. She had a terrible accident, and because of that, they tried everything the doctors had to do. They tried Eastern medicine, and nothing worked. And so it'll be interesting to see and listen to her story and think about, what would you do if you had come to the end of help that is out there for you? Go ahead. Start the video.
So Lynn, you are from Arizona, but you're in Florida currently. And Danielle, we're in Florida, but you're in Colorado currently. So nobody really knows where they are. But I'm really pleased you joined me on this call. I think it's an absolutely fascinating story, your journey with redox. So Lynn, I want to start with you. Can you tell me just a little bit, first of all, about your background? I think you're a wellness coach. Can you tell us just a little bit about your background and why you were out there on a search looking for something like redox?
Sure. Thank you, Alan. I'm really honored to be on the call to share this. My background out of college, I actually got into IT for a while and then wanted to stay at home with my daughters. I did some consulting, and then because of some back problems I had, I discovered yoga, and I actually got into teaching and training yoga teachers for a number of years, which I still do at a college in Maryland. And during the course of all of that, raised my daughters. They went off to college, and when Danielle graduated, she moved to Colorado to do Teach for America. And she had come home after her second year, was there for the summer, and in June of 2012 was hit by a drunk driver and suffered you know, we didn't think we thought she was okay. She looked fine, which we found out later, but most people with a traumatic brain injury look fine. But over the course of weeks and months, instead of getting better, she was getting worse. And so for 2 years, we tried everything we could think of. Having the background in wellness that I had, I knew a lot of alternative practitioners. I knew Eastern medicine people. My dad was a physician, so we knew Western medicine people. We tried new things, old things, very innovative technologies. And at the end of a year, her neurologist basically told her that she had done all the healing that was going to happen, and just to get used to her normal, which there were so many things going on with her. She couldn't work. She was sleeping 20 hours a day. She had migraines constantly. A lot of times she couldn't have words. She had so much fatigue, mental and physical, that it was hard for her to get through a day. And so obviously as parents, I know you've got 2 young daughters, we were not about to accept that. And we just kept looking, and it was actually 2 years after her injury, a little more than 2 years, that a friend of mine who was an acupuncturist had come across this technology, and she said, have you ever heard of redox molecules? And I hadn't, my dad hadn't. And she said, I really think it can help Danielle. So I was really excited. I brought it home. I brought a bottle home, and I said, Danielle, we found something. This might be what we've been looking for. And I'll never forget, she took the bottle, just like you showed it. I looked at it and said, Mom, what does your friend think salt water is going to do for a brain injury? Just like that.
So let me pass it on to Danielle at the minute. So Danielle, here you are, your mom's kitchen table, looking at a blue bottle.
Literally.
Ingredients, salt and water. Did you think your mother had lost it?
Oh, completely. So my background, I got my degree in biology, and my mom tried to explain what this was to me. I said, Mom, you have no idea what you're talking about, and your friend is involved in a scam. And honestly, Alan, I did a quick Google search, and what popped up on Google was this website that said, saltwater scam, and I said, told you. Did you look at this at all? And, she implicitly trusted her friend. And I'll say back then that stamp wasn't on the bottle. There was no bioagilitics saying that it was certified redox. It just said ingredients, sodium chloride.
And this was even before the Torah lab study.
Oh, way before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you're sitting here looking at this and you say, no, not taking it. So now, Lynn, your daughter's not going to drink it. That's why you got the product. So what are you going to do with the product?
Well, and to be honest, we had tried so many things. We weren't going to force it, right? But I had a significant challenge of my own at the time. I was bone on bone in all my fingers, serious discomfort. I couldn't make a fist, couldn't push covers off myself. And I had been to rheumatologists. They said basically pain management was the only option. And I didn't want to go that route yet. So I thought, I'll try it. What do I have to lose? I've got this product. And within 6 weeks, I could make a fist, and the discomfort wasn't all the way gone, but it was significant enough that my husband thought he should try it. He had had a knee surgery after college football and wore a brace whenever he ran or did yard work. Within 2 weeks, he was running without his brace, had the energy of a 30-year-old, and he wasn't. And that's when we sat Danielle down and said, Danielle, this is what's happened to us. We really think you need to do this.
So Danielle, your mom's making fists. I mean, she's having these results. Your dad's out there like Superman. Now, surely you're going to drink the molecules.
No, I feel so bad saying this now, but I looked at them and I said, guys, it's a placebo. I said, you're drinking salt water. You imagined it away. I'm glad it's working for you, but you're wasting your money. And they gave me, they said, look, we've been looking into this more. This is legitimate. There's research out there about it. Go to this website. It's called amazingmolecules.com. And I literally laughed out loud. I said, if it's a breakthrough and it's called Amazing Molecules, give me a break, Mom. That is the most ridiculous URL for a breakthrough technology. And I was with my boyfriend at the time. He was getting his PhD in biology. And he was with me when we were given that website, and he was like, I can't believe that we're even having this conversation, Danielle, this isn't anything. And my parents, though, they said, look, we're paying for it. We're buying it. What if we're right? Will you just agree to drink it for 6 months? And I said, sure, I'll drink it, but we won't change anything else. I will prove to you that this stuff doesn't work.
Oh, so you're going for the negative placebo. You're going to actually prove to them. So there's
Yeah.
no way.
Yes.
There's no way your results can be a placebo. I have to laugh, by the way, because of course, amazingmolecules.com is my website. I made up that URL, so I don't take it personally. I think it's really funny. But listen, so now you've got some product. You're going to prove them wrong. You're going to get them off your back. You got a super smart boyfriend. You've got a degree in biology. What happens?
Done deal. I start drinking it, and honestly, first month or two, nothing was happening, and I'm like, you're wasting your money. What are we doing here? And then it was around the third month, all of a sudden, I wasn't having a nap. I mean, I used to have to take a nap, a phone call, walking the dog, going to the grocery store. I napped for 2 to 3 hours afterwards, and my parents were looking at me going, Danielle, don't you need to lie down? I'm saying, no, I feel good. And all of a sudden, the pounding that had been in my head, Alan, you don't understand. My head had not stopped pounding since the day of my car accident. No relief for over 2 years. It's stopped. And it hasn't come back now in 5 years.
In 5 years now, you've been drinking the molecules. You've been drinking the amazing molecules.
Indeed. And now I tell people all the time, you need to go
Look at
It's amazing.
So you start noticing you don't need the naps, the pounding in the head that had been going on since the accident. It stopped. Anything else that you noticed?
Clarity. All of a sudden, I could get the word out. I could describe to you, where you park the car. It's outside. You can fit 2 of them in there, but I couldn't get garage out. All of a sudden, I could get the words out that I wanted to say. And my cognitive therapist, who I've been seeing this woman weekly for over a year at that point, she said to me, Danielle, in all of my years of working with patients that have your type of injury, I've never watched a recovery so rapid, so far out from the initial trauma. She said, what the hell is that stuff you started drinking? And I said, it's salt water. I said, I don't know. She goes,
Go to Amazing Molecules.
Right.
check it out for yourself. And that's when I actually started really looking at it. And that's when my boyfriend and I, we got on PubMed. We started actually researching it, Google Scholar, not Google, and opened my world to what was actually out there and what this was really doing, and that my experience wasn't unique and how profound this was.
Yeah. It's important to point out, we call the internet the bathroom wall of the world. Anybody can write anything up there. And Google is Google is a search engine. It's not a research engine. So Google Scholar or PubMed, you'd go in, type in redox signaling or redox signaling molecules. And it's a huge, huge area of science. And of course, with the bioagility stamp and the testing, look, this is verified as a redox signaling supplement. So, yeah, pretty cool. Any other final thoughts?
I had this one thing. My boyfriend, then, we're no longer together. He and his mother still drink FAsMA because of what they've seen it do. And his PhD advisor, he brought me in to share with his advisor what this was when his advisor heard my story. And he looked at it and he said, Danielle, how in the world is this so cheap? With what they've been able to do, how are you telling me that I can get this for that amount every month? So it's profound, and it's blessed them, it's blessed me, and I'm loving watching it help a lot of other people.
Well, it's hard for me to imagine you as somebody who's stumbling for words, having to take naps. I've only known you post ASEA, and you're known as one of the best communicators in this company. You're an incredible speaker, incredible wisdom when you open your mouth, and it's always said in a beautiful way. And so it's very hard for me to kind of piece that together as the old Danielle, but so grateful to know the new Danielle. Lynn, thank you for your incredible perseverance and your thick skin. I guess being a parent, you develop a thick skin,
You do.
but you got to sometimes persevere. And I hope for those people listening, understand, guys, the world's full of skeptics. When we say this is a new category of science, this is a technology that is 10 to 15 years ahead of its time, we mean that. That's just not a marketing slogan. We are where vitamins were 100 years ago. We are where antioxidants were 40 years ago. Go back to 1980 and imagine someone walking in and saying, hey, I've got an antioxidant supplement. And you probably had never heard of antioxidants. That's where we are with this category of redox signaling. Very, very exciting place to be. But it's all about the lives changed. Danielle, Lynn, thank you so much for sharing your stories. Appreciate you being here and having a bit of fun with us as well. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alan.
So I would like to introduce Doug, and Doug, you're going to introduce Marian Sides.
Yes, thank you so much, Ruth. Amazing video, wasn't that? just amazing. And now to follow that up, we are very blessed to have Marian Sides, Dr. Marian Sides. She's a business owner and an entrepreneur. She's retired as a colonel in the United States Air Force. She's an educator, a clinical nurse, specialist and consultant in higher education. Dr. Sides is the owner and CEO of Education Enterprises, Inc. since 1983 and has been a network marketer for 30 years. She also holds a PhD in higher education from the Department of Social Sciences at University of Chicago, a Master's of Science in Nursing from Loyola University in Chicago, and a Bachelor's of Science in Nursing from DePaul University. In addition to that, she is a fellow and past president of the Aerospace Medical Association, an academician in the International Academy of Aviation and Space Medicine. She has 4 amazing children, 5 grandchildren, and is proud to say 2 are in the US Navy. It is a great pleasure, and I'm hanging on the edge of my seat to hear what Dr. Marian Sides has to share with us this evening. Marian, welcome to our group.
Thank you, Doug, for that wonderful introduction. I am so honored, pleased to be here tonight with all of you. And I am going to share in the next few minutes how we use questions and how the strategy of questioning impacts our communication with ourselves and also with other people. And we've learned over time that asking questions is more powerful than just telling people. If we want to get people's attention, we ask a question. And if we tell them, we don't really get them engaged. And sometimes they kind of tune out. And if we are telling for too long, they really tune out. But when we ask a question, we immediately engage their thinking. And that's how a communication works the best. So I'm going to share some thoughts. Do you know that we were born to be healthy? Do you know that? The good Lord gave us 75 trillion cells and sent us off on our journey to start life. And God wanted us to be healthy. And how do we know that? Do you know that this truth is rooted in the Bible? Philippians 1 verses 6. It says, "For I am confident that of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus." So what this is saying is that there's confidence of this one thing. He who began a good work in you will continue to perfect you until the coming of Christ. That is such a powerful statement. Now, you can't use this kind of question with everyone when you are beginning a conversation with a potential prospect, potential associate, a potential customer. A question, when you use a question, it has to be relevant, it has to be purposeful, and it has to be substantive. Those are 3 criteria and characteristics of a question. So you can't use this question to start a conversation with everyone. I used it frequently recently because I had someone who was an associate, and she had someone who was interested in looking at the business and the product, and we decided we would do a 3-way call. And before we did the 3-way call, she told me that this person moved to Florida and she's living in Illinois, and they pray together every night. And they've done praying together for a couple of years. So I knew that I could use this question if the timing was right, and it came up that this was a good sequel. And it was amazing because it wasn't on the first call, actually. It was on the follow-up call when I brought this to her attention. And she was so excited. She said, "This is where I'm going to begin. I'm going to begin right here. I'm going to my Bible, and then I'm going to watch real redox results." And she's been very excited, but that was her actual excitement in the beginning with looking at ASEA. So it has to be relevant, and that's really important. So I wanted to just share that. And then I want to just continue with saying that the effective use of questioning provokes our thinking by stimulating the cognitive domain of our intellect, and it guides our behavior. And this is the beauty of asking questions. It really gets you thinking cognitively, and it guides our behavior into a certain pathway that's going to be useful for our future. For example, are you the kind of person who will succumb to the guidance that this is your new normal and you better get used to it? Are you going to accept this is your new normal, or are you going to challenge that verdict? How many of us, and this is why I asked for the video on Danielle, because it's a perfect example. And there's a huge population of people out there that have this similar experience. It may not be necessarily from acute brain injury, but it could be a number of different things. And they are at the mercy of someone in traditional medicine who's saying, I'm sorry, but there's nothing more we have for you. There's nothing more we can do. You need to get your affairs in order, or this is the new you, and we'll help you adjust and adapt to the new you. And so I asked that question, if I'm with someone who is facing this kind of a challenge, do you accept this? And when I hear what their comment is, it will lead me to know that they would be receptive to looking at our opportunity. And that's kind of a segue. Using that question helps guide me there. And so I asked for that video because it's so powerful in so many ways, and it's one of all of our favorites. But to hear someone say, you need to adapt to a new normal, and this is your new normal, I think we're our gift. We are a gift. We have a gift. And I feel so blessed to be in a position as an associate to be able to find these people out in our society and give them hope, because that's what we're giving them. We're giving them hope. So that's an example of another question. And there's also a set of questions where we pique interest for the product, and we're all familiar with these questions, but I want to share questions and tell you what category they would be in. So piquing interest regarding the project, and if you are with someone and you are going to prospect them or introduce them to a SIA, are you open-minded in learning about a scientific biochem discovery that can impact your health and reverse illness and disease by helping your body heal itself? If I could show you a way to reverse the aging process, to re-engineer your youth by helping your body heal itself, would you be interested in knowing more about it? When we phrase this question many, many different ways, and I think we're all familiar about that as a question. And when we ask a question, we are really connecting with their curiosity. It raises a curiosity, and they're going to listen and they want to know more. So that's a category. And then let's look at some questions that can pique interest in the business opportunity of a SIA. And the first one I want to ask you is, do you know anyone over the age of 55 who is not on track for retirement? That's an excellent question because it taps into probably the largest market, the largest segment of our population, the baby boomers. I'll give you a little bit of background, because if you're going to use this question, it's important that you have a substantive background of fact to know that this is the truth, that we have so many people in our society that are of retirement age or reaching that age, and they are not on track for retirement. 1 in every 4 individuals, Americans in this category don't have any savings. 1 in every 4 Americans haven't saved anything. And so the baby boomers, which between 46 and 64, as I mentioned, are the largest category of individuals in our society that we are gifted to be able to help them. Many of them aren't on track. And according to the Trans-American Center for retirement, 42% of baby boomers have saved $250,000. 42% of the baby boomers have saved $250,000. The average savings for baby boomers is around 164. The Generation X, the ages between 42 and 57, they've saved, according to this same report, 72,000, and millennials have saved 37,000. And none of these categories of individuals with these savings are going to be happy campers in retirement. If someone who is reaching 65, and there is another statistic here, the Federal Reserve report on economic well-being in the United States households say that the average savings for over 65 is 255,000. So if someone is 65 and over, and they are retiring with $255,000, even if they say what they can make it on 50,000 a year, that brings them to maybe 5 years, and then they have to go back to the workforce, don't they? And that's sad. And there are a lot of reasons for this, and I'm not going to get into that. All I'm wanting to do is to give you some facts from these resources that justify our question, and to ask them, do you know anyone over 55 who is not on track for retirement? That, if you're going to use that question, you have to third party it, because you're not going to ask somebody directly, hey, are you broke? I mean, you've got to be cautious and you've got to be tactful is how we ask people. But one question that is appropriate, are you on track to retire? Are you on track financially for the lifestyle you want to live? Now, that doesn't require anybody to expose where they are as far as, you know, having a nest egg, because to be on track to retire financially for the lifestyle they want to live, they could want a lifestyle that's the, you know, off the record. But so that's a question that you can ask somebody directly. Otherwise, you third party it, and everybody knows somebody who's in trouble. So here's another place that we can help people. It provides light bulb moments for them, and we can rescue them. And they're hearing that, and it does work really well. So the next question is, do you know that network marketing is the only business model where you can play catch up for retirement? Did you know that? Well, there's no other business model where you can play catch up. The traditional workforce, you work 40 hours a week for 40 years. And this is in the past, you would get a pension for 40% of what you could possibly, you can't live on that, but that's all you would get. And that's really unfortunate. But when it came time for us to look at our own savings, and which is the 401k, many people didn't take that responsibility on themselves, and they just didn't save. And they're not disciplined in that way. So that's where people got into trouble. And then, of course, our other issues in our society create challenges where people just can't live on that little bit of money. But that's a question. So how does network marketing do that? I mean, how can network marketing allow you to play catch up? Well, here's where I would share the ASEA income disclosure statement. And we have to be very careful to say, this is not an income projection. This is no guarantee for income, but it is a statement, and it is a snapshot of what people are making, the low end, the high end, and the median salary. Not salary, income, residual income. And it shows that it can be done. And if people are in a position where they're going to have to retire and they have no option, this is a beautiful option. And I've seen it over and over. I've been in network marketing for over 40 years, and I've seen people who in 3 to 5 years have become financially free, and they started out with not even a penny in their pocket. So it is possible. And people of this nature, in this kind of a situation, often have no other path. They have no other option. So they have a big why. They have a huge why. They have a passionate why. They're going to do everything to make this work. And we probably all know people like that. So that's a good question. That's very powerful that we can use. Do you know that this business is the only business model where you can play catch up? Did you know? I already said that one. Next question. What is the number one hedge against inflation? The number one hedge against inflation. Owning a franchise business with a residual income. And in many network marketing businesses, you have that as a hedge against inflation, because I'll give you one example. I was in a energy business for quite a few years, and it's a service, it's not a product. And I saw the company soar to $1 billion in revenue in 2008, 9, and 10. Now, what happened then in 2008, 9, and 10? The stock market plummeted. So we are not connected and reliant upon the market in a network marketing. Now, more so in a product, because if we have a recession and we have money issues, people can say, I don't want an auto-ship or a subscription. But when we have people who are loyal to the product, as Danielle now is, they're loyal to it because it's helped them. It's their miracle that's causing them to be able to become healthy, and their bodies are healthy. They're not going to give up that auto-ship, are they? They're going to stay with it. So even with a product base where it's a monthly expense that they could easily say, well, I'll have to drop this, they don't drop it because it's their life, it's their health. So that's a very powerful question that you can ask people and think, wow, this is amazing opportunity here. I never thought about all these ways that we can help people. What is the number one reason why prospects do not come into your business? And if here's a question you might use for onboarding and for helping coaching your downlines, and it gets them to thinking. And what is the number one reason why someone doesn't come in? We often think it's money, but you know, money is only an issue in the absence of perceived value. They don't perceive a value. But after, you know, you have to be persistent and patient and continue to drip on people. And each time you drip on a new person, no matter how long it is, it's got to be a different exposure. It's got to be something new. It can't be the same old that you're coming to them with. Some new, very, I guess, interesting figure or interesting reason or interesting piece of information that will grab them, because you don't know what their light bulb moment is going to be. So the number one reason is perceived value. I, in my position in my traditional work before I got into network marketing or concomitant with network marketing, was to work to help organizations reorganize and re-engineer themselves. And I developed membership surveys to find out what was the reason that somebody chose not to join. And for maybe an organization, why did they choose not to join? And it wasn't the money, it was the perception that there was no value to them, or they didn't think there was enough value to them. And when value presented itself, and a good example is Sia, where Danielle all of a sudden saw the value because she was taking it and she didn't need to take naps. And that was her first inkling where this was value to her. And you just keep that in mind, because that's a very important awareness to keep in mind. Don't give up on people because they haven't perceived the value yet. And it may take a number of different exposures and a number of different comeback. Remember, the fortune is in the follow-up. The fortune is in the follow-up. We got to stay on and come back with the right questions. Not just saying, hey, I've got some new information, but ask this question that we're talking about here. And if you are talking to someone and you're wanting to prospect them on our business opportunity, or even the product, but let's say the business opportunity, and you ask them, where do you plan to be in 3 to 5 years? And what's your interest? What's your passion? And they say, well, I am going to study to be a nurse, or I want to be a veterinarian, or I want to start a business in CV, what is that, oil? What's the acronym? Anyway, that start a business in selling or essential oils or some other kind of oils. And then another person says, well, I want to be an artist. You don't try to pull them away and say, oh, you know what? That's going to take you a long time. It's cost a lot of money. And you end up not making as much money as you can make if you looked at this business. Don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. You always want to bring up, are you, and you can ask them if you are on track to finance, the education that you're about to embark on, or what kind of backing do you have for this CBD oil business that you want to start. This was a real one. That's why I keep saying that. And they say, well, we're starting to work on that now. We're just starting to work on the financing. We don't have it together yet. Well, this might help you provide a secondary income. Would you be interested in taking a look at another income stream? If it doesn't cost anything and it doesn't displace your focus on your primary passion, would you be interested in another income stream that could help finance your primary interest? That's extremely helpful. And I've had a number of people that came in for that reason. But what happens then? Usually what happens after a period of time, their plan B, which is the network marketing business, becomes the plan A. And it happens more than it doesn't happen. So that's a good question to ask. Do you have a plan B to maybe help your plan A? So these are questions on finance, and I spend time on this. I was a financial advisor for about 20 years, and now having found a SIA, I found that my skill sets that I cultivated in my prior businesses are perfectly applied here with a SIA, because we're able to help people play catch up. We're able to help people with plan Bs, where they can do the plan B and still do their plan A. They don't have to give up anything. And all the questions I raised here, it's the only business model we can play catch up for retirement, and that's a lifesaver for people. Think, you mean to say that I can actually build enough? I said, well, you got to work hard. I can't guarantee, but I've seen it happen. Are you willing to work hard? Are you willing to be coachable? Will you follow our guidance? Absolutely, absolutely. I'll do whatever you say. So those are questions on money. And I will, just one more type of question. When you show the video, we pique interest, we show the plan, whether it's a video or whatever, and then we do a three-way call. But what you want to do is ask the question, what did you like about the video? And you want to solicit a positive response. And then after they tell you, then you say, what else did you like? And you want to get some more out of them of what they like, because they're telling you their needs and wants when you do that. They're telling you exactly the platform of how you're going to approach, showing how they're aligned with what we have to offer. And this is where the perceived value comes in. If you can show the perceived value right up front, right away, then money won't be the issue. Okay. I want to say just a couple more things here, and then I'll end. And what are some key personal development qualities to ensure success in your business? This would be like an onboarding or something that you would talk with your associates that you're working with. And there are a lot of different personal development qualities, but I just picked 4 here. One is commitment. And the reason I picked that is that I needed to re-examine my commitment, because I mean, I'm truly committed. This is the end of the road for me. I'm not going anywhere else. This is my business. But commitment is more than saying, yes, I'm going to do this. You have to show yourself, are you doing it? So I asked myself the question, what am I doing to convince myself that I am committed in terms of knowing where every one of my associates is in their growth toward their next promotion? And where are my associates in terms of my follow-up? Do I know where everybody is? Do I have my finger on the pulse of my entire team? And I had to say no. And so I started to begin to work that plan of commitment in terms of, I should be able to know that when I make a call to so-and-so, I will know what they need to do to get to their next level and who they need to talk to become their next D300. We need to be that close and connected with our teams to be able to move them forward for their best interests and also for our own. And so commitment is a key personal development quality. And then the next is devotion. And devotion is work ethic and how you choose to work. You can't give lip service. You got to work the business and walk the talk and not make one call in the morning and say, okay, that's it for see you today. I've got other things to do. That's fooling yourself. That's the second quality. The third is always looking to address needs and wants. Everybody within 3 feet of you is a potential something to you, customer or an associate, and you listen for needs and wants. And that's part of a quality that we should cultivate. And then the next one and last one is what dual together is essential in the pursuit of a reluctant prospect. And that is persistence and patience, You've got to continue to drip and continue to follow up unless they tell you, stop, I don't want to hear from you ever again. But if you're tactful and say, would you mind if in a couple of months I give you a call and see if things have changed for you? Oh yeah, that'd be fine. So those are the 4 qualities that I've chosen right now. So you pick your 4 and what you want to work on. And then real fast principles, prospecting and courting a prospect. The person asking the questions is in control. Just keep that in mind. And you want to be in control because you want to drive the conversation in the direction that's going to help them and it's going to help you get to a decision. The second is effective use of questions cultivates effective habits. Effective use of questions will cultivate effective habits. The third, mentorship through effective questioning empowers the learner to use critical thinking skills. If you question anyone, they're going to begin to think. But if you tell them something, doesn't mean they're going to think. So mentorship is using questions effectively. And the last is holistic care. We want to look at our business as holistic, caring for someone, embodies our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healthy self. We are born with the intention that we will be healthy. God said so. And going back to that first statement, Philippians 1 verses 6, I am confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will perfect it until the day of Christ Jesus. And one last thing, action plan. What I want you to do is to develop a repository or a toolbox of questions. And each of them should be relevant, purposeful, and substantive for use. So if you're going to use a question, think about it in advance, or if you know your questions well enough in your toolbox, you'll pull them out when you need to. When you're talking like on 3-way calls, I often pull out a question from my toolbox and know exactly where to plant that question. And it works. it works. And so that's your action plan. Part of your action plan is to develop that toolbox of questions. And then my last thing for perfect, I'm not going to say any more after this. The tip for the day: don't ever start your day on neutral and wait to see where it goes. Be proactive. Think and use affirmations to direct your thinking. And you can say, what if I could bring hope to just one person today? What difference can I make in the life of that family? And with that, I'll leave you with that. We have gifts. We have a gift. This is a gift. And we are the gift. Let's share it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sides. Does anyone have questions for Marian?
You gave us a lot to think about. And I'm going to re-listen to this and take notes. I think almost all of your points could be a whole lecture in itself. But
I know.
I love the questions that you asked. And I've recently read the book, Questions Are the Answers. And it just makes sense. People believe what they say. If we ask a question, they say it, they believe it.
Yep, that's right. That's a good point. Very good point. Well, everything I talked about, it came from my experience, but it was rooted in some kind of doctrine or evidence-based information. A lot of from University of Chicago and through my education and just through my experience. So I just pulled it all together and tried to, I don't know, how much time did I use, you know?
Just enough.
Yeah,
I wanted to say something.
just enough, because we can use this as a tool for us to train other people too. So I learned a lot. So thank you.
I like the toolbox of questions. That's excellent.
That's what I was going to comment on too, was thank you, Dr. Sides, for giving us so many things to think about. But as a hairdresser, the toolbox of questions is perfect. And to remember to do that, you know, with anything and anywhere we go, because people do like to talk about themselves. So in question form, that opens that right up.
Exactly.
And the part about, I really like the part where you said at the very end, start your day with an affirmation and the hope that you can make a difference in at least one person that day.
That's
Exactly.
beautiful.
And don't start your day in neutral, because it can go any way, you know, any which way, right? You gotta have a direction
Right.
for the day. And affirmation starts you off in the right positive direction.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you all for listening.
Beth, would you like to introduce Jerry?
I certainly would. Jerry White is in our own backyard in Spokane, Washington. We are like super privileged to have him as our champion, guide, teacher, friend. As you see on the screen, he has extensive a background in his physical therapy, in research. He has founded even the GATE Orthopedic Neurological Lab of the Shriners Hospital and the School of Physical Therapy. But as you see on the screen, it doesn't tell anything exactly about Jerry's heart. And what I would really love for you to listen to tonight is how much he cares for each one of us and for the people that are in need He has extensive knowledge of how these redox molecules work and how it can make a difference in each one of us. So with that, I would like you to meet and to listen to our own national champion, as it says across his shirt today, Mr. Jerry White.
Wow, thank you all. My message will be short. I have an opportunity to work with some incredible people, and you've seen some of the best that I've chosen. Out of thousands of people around the country and around the world, we've all chosen to make life better on purpose. And thank you, Marian. As you've just done so much over the course of your lifetime, this is what I call a step up for the next step. And what we do is we have found this absolutely stunningly powerful breakthrough in human health, endurance, physical capability. It works. It's nuts. It actually fills in so many pieces that we always had questions about in physiology, in medicine, in athletics, in aging, in life. It stands and it works with a company that's incredibly stable, but also has been built on the concept of believe, belong, and become, and that people and principles are more important than ego and economics. So we're marrying together some really interesting concepts here. And people come to take a look at ASEA for various reasons. It's not surprising to begin to imagine that watching that video with Danielle, people came and they come because of the health of the people they care about or their own health. This is the first category. Second one is actually interesting because it works better on animals than it does on people. Animals don't have an attitude. And then the third one is it works on reminding the cells in your body how to find their natural starting point. I want you to think about it in terms of we do all kinds of things with nutrition in the world and with medicines and with treatment strategies to try to push the body in some direction or to stop something from happening. And they work pretty well in most cases, but they're individually working in some direction at our direction or our provision of direction. Here's the problem. We don't have all the facts. Your body does. Your body is built to heal itself. And in order to do that, most of us are in an environment that we don't realize it, but you are exposed to more toxicity in 15 minutes than somebody living 100 years ago would have gotten an entire lifetime. The stressors are overwhelming, and your body has to adapt better than it's ever done before. But this redox signaling, this new technological advance, allows the cells to find the "you are here" spot on the map. It tells the body, finally, this is where you are, and these are the things that are currently going on in your environment. And these are the tools you're using to try to correct that. Now, you know what happens when you do that? For many of us, anyone who's aging, we can't remember where we are like we could when we were little. But remember that the system that worked so well when you were young, it's still there. It's lacking in its ability to find itself and to be aware of its surroundings. So what if there was one thing that we could provide for it to find that center point from which to start in a direction of improvement, optimal life advantage, health, a map isn't any good. It can tell you you can start to move in any one direction. We could apply all kinds of different technologies and nutrients and medications to move from where we are. But guess what? If you don't know where you are, you can't go from there in a direction you want. You're just randomly going somewhere. And I've heard it said that it doesn't matter how fast you run if you're on the wrong track. But if we come back to that center point, as we come back, we call it equilibrium or homeostasis in the body. You come back to homeostasis, that center point. All of the other things that we begin to add around the outside of it in a series of products allows us to get specific about enhancing certain areas, focused areas. So let's tell you that the products that we use, the first one is called ARS, or redox signaling molecules. That comes in a saltwater base and you drink it. You can also breathe it. You can put it in your eyes. It's 100% harmless, but it's that sense of being able to pull everything back to the center to start moving where you need to go. And for years, that has been a radical change in people's health, improvement, their lives, their hope, their health. And so from there, we now began to realize that we could change how people look. Imagine having a technology that just simply reminds your cells that 15 years ago, you made the cells more often. And in a matter of a month, you think there's a market for somebody to have something that says, make your cells do what they did when you were younger? It happens not only on the skin, it happens internally, but on the skin, it's crazy. And I know, here's one for you. I grew a white beard. And I just got back from the Dominican Republic where we were at a 5-star resort. And all the other members of the team, I was, of the male variety, for example, I was far fitter to this point. And I can do a lot of things, triathlons and all that stuff at 68 years old, and following my wife around, even half Ironmans, moving on toward Ironman. But everybody there that was on the wait staff called me Papa, which means they either thought I was Papa Smurf with a white beard or I was somebody's granddad. Now, I can live life at a higher level and I can shave. But how many people do you know that are screwed up, hurting, squeak when they walk, grunt when it hurts, and they're going downhill and hardly get out of a chair? They can't just shave and look younger until now. So we have that we can offer to the people. But then we've now come up with some new techniques to focus things like mind. How many of you feel like you're out of your mind? That you're pushed out of the center for some reason? What if we could pull you back? By just taking a small supplement set and putting it into a bottle, shake it up and drink it. Well, as long as you have this ARS, the redox signaling molecules, you can come back and start and get a focus that works. It's insane how well you can correct those things. How about one called mood? You ever feel overwhelmed? Do you ever feel anxious? Imagine how many people do. And if they could take that center point and move toward a point of peace and focus, that's valuable. Another one is energy. Some people don't have enough energy to fall over. And now we can provide that energy to make it through a full day in a totally different way than an energy drink. We also have nutrients that allow your body to build itself and to rebuild the tissues over and over again in ways that are much more similar to what you did when you were young. Sorry about that. This is my borrowed phone. There we go. And so let's see if I can turn that off here. Yeah. There you go. It's right, thanks. So now that you're all completely off base thinking it was your phone that was ringing, you're too wired and you need the mood to kind of tone it down. So, now I know how to turn him off. So then we have this concept, this idea that says start from the center and build toward better. And that also means that we work together. And when I come to these events and when I'm around these are people who say, today's not good enough. Why not gather together and make ourselves better in each and every way in every day? And we do that by working together in teams to get the distribution around the world. You can buy distribution rights for $40 in the United States and to represent us in 32 different countries. We're doing about $200 million a year and nobody even knows about it. Think about putting that in your satchel for a bit and working together with a group of people. So when I saw this, I needed some massive changes. I was like Marian said, didn't plan so much for the retirement age. And we've gone so far past that we met one of the major criteria that I had for putting this all together. I'll give you these 5 criteria. Maybe they mean something to you and maybe you want to change. If you do, we'll leave the light on for you. But they went like this. I said, if we're going to live the next number of years, and my wife and I, with our kids now being amazing people out there in the world, we wanted to live an amazing life full of adventure and gratitude to God for doing it. We wanted to do it with a bunch of people that we love and care about, and it's been astounding the people we've met, making a much bigger difference together than we could ever make by ourselves. Number 4 was to make sure our own justice in our own lives prevailed, that the people who did the work get the credit, and that we give people a sense that they matter. Number 5, for me, I just wanted to make enough money to be done with money so that when the most important things came along in life, time and money were no objects. We live that life today. It's my turn to turn around and to give that to anyone who wants it. So we ask you to consider 5 different things. Number 1, just get the products and try them. You're going to be amazed. And we have some ways in which you can test it very quickly. We welcome you to do that. Number 2, you don't want to pay full price for nothing. So we have a way for you to get them at wholesale, if you like. Number 3 is a group of people who are saying, I want to go to school and learn what's coming. How are economics going to work in the future and not the past? How do I work together with other people and to guarantee the opportunity to work on my own so no one else is in charge of my destiny? So those people will buy those distribution rights for $40, get some of the products and technologies, use them for themselves, share them with others, and begin to learn how to work and beat that inflation stuff. Number 4 is somebody who wants to replace their income, and number 5 is somebody who says, I totally get this. Ran across several of those people in this 5-star resort we were at this last week. And it's really strange. The people who get it, get it. Most of the rest of them complain about it. Because as I made a couple of presentations to people, it only took a couple of minutes. They said, is there any way to get distribution rights for this? I'm thinking, I think I died and went to heaven. Here's people that are willing to pick up their own mat and walk and go through a process that says, take care of ourselves first, purely so that we can turn around and make a difference in the lives of others. So it's a real simple process. Get back with the people who brought you, and let's pass it back to our esteemed leader. Well, we'll have an arm wrestling match to see if it's Ruth or Marian that's going to take this to close it out. Go for it.
Ruth.
So it's me today. I really want to thank both Marian and you, Jerry, for sharing today. And what I'm taking away is that toolbox of questions, to have those, to just have a tool to talking to people, because that's been a real challenge for me. And I believe that this is going to help a lot of people. and also talking about how you were sharing about they were calling you Papa, but you're one of the most fit ones there. That's really amazing, and that's really inspiring to me. Because like 5 years ago, my knees started to kind of start hurting where I couldn't run at all. I couldn't do the treadmill. And I've been on this for about almost a year now, and I can run after my dog now. That's like impressive.
Sounds like a well-trained dog.
No, yeah. So it's I'm excited, and growing old, and because we're all growing older, that we can grow old with grace and still do things instead of being crippled. So I want to thank both of you for sharing your stories, and everyone who has come here today for spending their time and listening. And I'd like to inspire or encourage any of you to, if you're watching this as a recording or today, to reach out to whoever invited you to watch this. And if you have any questions or you want to get going on this product, then I'd like to extend an invitation. We have one of our own next week. Let's see. Beth Watson is going to be here.
Woohoo! Beth, you need a shave. Oh.
She's and she's in the cosmetology industry, and one of the things that I was reading about her and in her bio is that she really likes to help people, and she loves the challenge of meeting new people and making new friends, and that there's no strangers, just friends she hasn't met yet. And she's it's going to be a really great Zoom meeting next time, and I'm really excited to hear her story. I've known a little bit about it, but I'm guessing she's going to share some things that I don't know. And I'd like to invite everyone. It's going to be on July 26th at 7 p.m. 8 Pacific time, 8 p.m. Mountain time. It's the remarkable enthusiasm and improvement in well-being, with guest speakers Beth Watson and Jerry White. And so I'd like to close this out and just invite everybody to come next Tuesday.